Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the International Commemoration of Persons with Disabilities under the theme Building Back Better Towards a Disability Inclusive, Accessible, and Sustainable Post-COVID-19 World. But before I proceed, I would like to let you know that my camera is not or is not in order. It's upside down, so you'll be able to twist your cameras or your devices so that you watch me properly. Thank you very much. Dear fellow people of African descent living with disabilities all over the world, I am incredibly honored and exceedingly humbled to be given this opportunity to speak on your behalf and address you on this important subject, the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. On behalf of the Global Pan-Africanism Network, close the bracket, GPAN, I wish to encourage you and welcome you despite the various challenges that persons with disabilities are going through. I salute because you are qualified to be the victorious, regardless of your physical appearances. The commemoration of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities has come at the right time when the world is still grappling with the COVID-19 pandemic. This disease, it has brought a lot of miseries and challenges. It has not discriminated against color, sex, or creed, disability inclusive. It attacks every person worldwide. I am very much cognizant of the fact that persons with disabilities, they live in the earth or in the world unaided, as if there are no governments responsible for persons with disabilities. Today, I have brought healing to you, my colleagues of African descent living with disabilities. Let us rise up and face the challenges because the world does not know us. Even though we are educated at whatever level, we face same discrimination, social discrimination, marital discrimination, spiritual discrimination, economic discrimination. So all of these things can be overcome if at all we are to sit down ourselves and look at ourselves in a positive way. Ladies and gentlemen of the African descent living with disabilities all over the world, join with me hand in hand to work on certain projects which the global Pan-Africanism has initiated, such as the African Business Month, which brought a lot of incentives to all of us, including the persons with disabilities. The global Pan-Africanism is an international civil rights and Pan-African organization whose mission is to reunite the people of African descent to advocate for their rights and freedoms throughout the world. This organization has already been registered in 5 countries worldwide, such as Ghana, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, France, and the United States of America. The persons with disabilities make up the world's largest minority group. They are disproportionately poor and are more likely to be unemployed and have higher rates of mortality than the general population. All too often, they do not enjoy the full spectrum of civil, political, social, and cultural economic rights. Ladies and gentlemen of the African descent living with disabilities all over the world, the Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the United Nations, there were 17, of which goal number 17 is critical important for the achievement of the SDG framework. This means the implementation goal must focus on the key drivers of and removal of many obstacles to and sustainable development in all these dimensions. A detailed assessment of each goal is critical component of this task. A goal-by-goal approach alone, however, risks missing overarching themes underpinned by the cohesion and ignoring interlinkages. Ladies and gentlemen, this proposal of goal number 17 should have two equally important components. Number one, the common cross-cutting issue targets covering 5 key areas of implementation should be adopted at the outset of Goal 17. These targets ensure coverage of the overarching key drivers of and obstacles to sustainable development and acknowledge the interlinkages between goals. For example, we consider that many of the targets under goal number 7 area, ending poverty, ought to apply as well to all aspects of sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen of the African descent living with disabilities all over the world, this short set of key target areas would complement the second component. These are the assessments, comprehensive assessment of the optimal means of implementation for each individual goal, our open consultation around the operational working group, GWG, bears witness to this fact, with over 90% new goal-specific targets being proposed by the drivers' civil society groups over the past years, with additions, and recommended for affirmative action by respective governments from all over the world. Our requested targets for consideration on common cross-cutting moment of invention can be categorized under 5 major headlines or themes, and these include the following. Number 1, enhanced finance for development. The global Pan-Africanism movement or network has initiated various developmental projects to benefit the persons with disabilities under the dictum, leave no one behind, as a mantra or philosophy or that depicts the real Ubuntu mantra, that depicts the philosophy of loving one another. You are because I am. I am because you are. This mantra gives us a solution to work together in unity of purpose. Number 2, reform of international finance and trade regimes. All these protocols and international instruments have been validated through the charters and chapters of the Global Pan-Africanism Network. On behalf of my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I will invite you to consider supporting this noble cause, because without unity of purpose, all these mean nothing. I implore you to support this vision, because this vision has come at the right time to invigorate the human power vis-a-vis poverty eradication in Africa and in the diaspora. Let me remind you of what happened during the Pan-Africanism Business Month. I was elected, I was challenged in a new way to see the youths demonstrating capacity to develop the African continent using the local African resources. Even us, as persons with disabilities, we can do it, because disability is not inability. You are because I'm here. I am because of you are. Let us move on as a unified force to liberate and reunite the African people from all over the world, especially the people of African descent. Let us embrace one love, one unity, one voice, one common agenda and identity. Let us fight tribalism if at all we are to reunite the African continent. When I was reading on the formation of the African Union by the former Pan-Africanism and Africanists, we read about Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda of Zambia, Kamel Muammar Gaddafi, Thomas Sankara, and others, embracing the vision of making Africa the United States of Africa. Let us support our leaders so that we together shall drive this common agenda to benefit the African people. And also let us move to embrace the persons with disabilities, regardless of color, creed, sex, religion, political affiliation, and religious affiliation. Let us look at one another as an African, as a person who was created in the image of God. The Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Where there is love, there is strength. Where there is a hatred, tribalism, there is a deceit and there is also a witness of loss. Brothers and sisters all over the world, the International Day of Persons with Disabilities is a commemoration of the day which was ratified by the United Nations, which adopted the international protocol to observe the United Nations standard rules, which are also the United States of Africa standard rules on the equalization of persons with disabilities. Racism has no room in Africa. As Pan-Africanists, we should fight it tooth and nail if we want to achieve our common agenda, identity. I remember the song which our great hero, Bob Marley, and his friend, Peter Tosh, sang, Africa Unite. This is a time for us to unite. Africa Unite. We want a unified Africa, which has no room for social segregation, for political segregation, marital segregation, for ethnicity segregation. Let us move on. Let us love the continent. The continent has given us a lot of resources, mineral resources, water, trees, Mokola trees. I've got everything to make Africa a great continent to recognize. But because of poor leadership, Africa is at the bottom of every continent in the world. With the least remarks that I have, I implore you to celebrate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities in unity. Stop crying because the day has come for you. Thank you very much.